Thank you, Zachary. Right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are now in the second session of the second day of Fusion 2022. My name is Norris binti Muhammad Norawi. Please just call me Norris, and I will be the moderator for this session. For the whole day, we have lined up several great speakers, but for this particular session, I am delighted to introduce to you all a very well-known and prominent figure in the HCI and UX community, an excellent researcher, and also a great friend of mine, and also a great friend to many of us here, Dr. Eunice Sari. Hello, Dr. Eunice, are you here?
Hello, Dr. Norris. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. I hope you're fine also. And
Yes.
yeah, we're very glad to have you here with us. So before we start, let me read a little bit more about Dr. Eunice's impressive background. Dr. Eunice is the CEO and co-founder of UX Indonesia and co-founder of Customer Experience Insight Proprietary Limited in Australia. In addition, she helped co-founded the ACM SITKAI Indonesia chapter, which was actually the first local chapter for ACM SITKAI in Asia, which was back in 2015. She is also an honorary university fellow at Charles Darwin University in Australia. She has over 20 years of experience in the field and has always been passionate in facilitating collaboration between academics and industries. So without further ado, I welcome Dr. Eunice to share her insights with us on UX leadership, specifically on how to manage diverse internal and external stakeholders. Dr. Eunice, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Norris. Hello, everyone. It's good to see a lot of you here and a lot of familiar faces. Thank you for Dr. Nur Zuraifa, who actually have invited me and all other friends, and looking forward to have a chat with you, Dr. Norris, today. And yeah, so this is, I'm looking forward to meet a lot of new faces, actually. I don't know many of the name here, but I'm sure that we are going to have a lot of conversation and a lot of discussion throughout the journey of HCI and UX in Southeast Asia. So today I'm going to share some stories, and it's more on what I've been through in things that like a disclaimer, things that happened to me, things that I experienced in this area might not be relevant to you, but hopefully it can be an inspiration for you to do your own journey. So let me start. So as Dr. Norris said before, like I started my career in HCI and UX in 2002. So it's been a while, like 20 years ago. And when I started my career in UX, I had no clue what I was going to do. So I did not even know that there was a name called UX. So what I knew was actually like HCI, and then how we can actually understand the users, how we actually involve them in the process. And so in order to create something better solution for them. So why did I start my company? Because I was so fascinated that to see that there is the social part of computer science, which is through HCI, because my own background was not in computer science. So I learned computer science as I get into HCI. So that was a really like an interesting way to enter the HCI. And my background was in education. And I found, okay, well, we could actually collaborate people from a different discipline, and then how we can actually do something to make life better. So I started my company called Translate Easy. So the Translate Easy is basically like a translating ideas into solution. So translating whatever like a user have in their mind, and then like get into how we can actually transform this into a requirement for developing product and services. When I started my company, I found no other organization doing this one yet. So I thought, okay, why not? I should start something new. And I think I want to see that if this works. It's not that I have a lot of resources to try something risky, but that I have a vision. Maybe one day this company can be valuable for a lot of people in the region, because I'm very much like bound into the work that's happening in Southeast Asia, especially. But what I did was actually not exactly what I experienced. What was not exactly what I expected, because I received rejection after rejection, rejection and rejection. Why did I get rejected? Because people could not understand what I was doing. Even up to now, people do not understand, what are you doing? Why not doing marketing? Why not doing computer science? It's clear. But why is it in the middle, in the beginning? So, and it was hard, especially in the beginning. I have not met anyone from Malaysia yet at that time. I met Masita in 2010 or 2011. I met Norris after that, and then I met a lot of people after that. But at that time, I did not meet anyone. And the only things that I heard was from US, from Europe, and I got a chance to study there a little bit, like in Europe. So I felt, okay, let's stick on the purpose, like the initial purpose, to do something new, to do something different, which potentially can change the world, and hopefully one day can get buy-in from the stakeholders. I'm glad that now, looking back to it, I did not give up, even when my life give me lemons. I always try to make them lemonade. So that's what I did. I mean, like it is basically, I can tell you the whole story, everything, but that's basically what happened. And we just celebrated our 20th birthday in June, and it was like, oh, it makes us so old, like we are too old, like doing this, and everybody was just so young and then so vibrant. And yeah, it's been a long journey indeed, but the journey has not ended yet. There are still a lot of things to do, especially if you want to become a leading UX company. Why is that? Because things keep changing, and especially in Southeast Asia, if you see like what is happening in the market, in about a decade, it's going to be one of the greatest emerging market in the world, and the users of the product or services that develop in the world, 70% of them will be in Southeast Asia. So this is such a great opportunity for anyone. Like if you want to explore like what is happening, and why do we have to invest on HCI? Why do we have to invest on UX? I'm talking about invest. I'm talking about HCI. Because my background is mixed. Like I learned HCI, which usually like connected more to academic. But then I'm also practicing UX, where the word HCI is not used too much. But basically, we are doing the same thing, right? At different level, at different interface. We are doing the same thing. We are trying to make things easier. We try to make things usable, friendly, make value for any product that we have for our users. So when we talk about leadership, I mean like the factor, like we were the first, and that's like it makes us a leader. But is it true that we are the leader, right? Leader is become leadership. UX leadership is not something that only correspond with the time, how long you become you are in the field. Well, you could say I've been doing HCI research for 20 years. I've been doing UX work for 20 years. But the question is like, have you made an impact? Have you done something that changed something, make a value for whatever you're doing? And when we talk about leader UX, yeah, right? Like I see a lot of people along the way, because I've been too long in the field. People have like a roles of UX director, UX manager, everything, right? But then it doesn't really guarantee that that person is a leader in a way. It's UX leadership is not about leadership title. It is about something bigger than that, and it can be anyone can have the leadership. Anyone can become a leader in whatever you are doing. So I'm going today, like what I'm trying to say today, I'm going to share a couple of things about UX leadership. Then like and then it's about UX knowledge, about ownership, about empathy, and about example. Those four things that I'm going to talk today. And I'm going to see how it is related to the work, and how it is related to a different stakeholders, diverse stakeholder, especially everything what I'm talking about here related to my work in Southeast Asia. So solid UX knowledge. So that's the first like a topic that I'm going to talk about. You know, if you want to become a leader, right? Like you need to know something, right? You cannot just say I'm UX leader, but you don't know what you're talking about, right? And UX in Southeast Asia is quite new. Like we talk about UX, a lot of companies, they just like mostly they adopted UX only in the last 5 to 7 years. Sometimes like some of them like a bit longer. Like they started to get buy-in about, okay, well, UX is important, right? And but the problem is like the knowledge, the maturity of user experience in the company is different. Some people, they only like focus on, okay, we just do user interface. We do a research, but we don't follow up. We just do we don't follow up means that we give it to somebody else, like to develop the product, right? Some people would, I'm going to develop an architecture of the system, but then that's stop. But there's also like a company that goes end to end, from understanding the business requirement until the end, like to do the proper UX process. And even like after the product is developed, they actually continue to check, continue to test, continue to iterate and improve. So so it is actually expected that a lot of people will struggle to meet the requirement of having a solid UX knowledge. Solid UX knowledge does not mean that you have to have like a university lecture background or something like that. It can be something that you gain or obtain through the experience, through like a professional training. But basically, the bottom line, when you say like a UX knowledge, depending on what role you have, right? Like, so for example, I'll just give an example of UX researcher. So as a UX researcher, if you know that you are a UX researcher, you need to know how to plan a proper UX research. You need to know how to run it. Simple things, some like inviting your users, talking to them. All these skills that actually enable you to do your job as a UX researcher properly. That's what I meant as a solid knowledge. If you are a UX architect, if you are a UX engineer, you have to make sure that you always continually update whatever like a role you want to be. And if you want to be like an end-to-end, right? Like from understanding the business solution and develop the product, then you really need to know. You don't have to worry that I'm not the best here, I'm not the best at, but you know what you're talking about. That is the most important. You cannot just say, oh yeah, yes, from according to this article and blah, 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 but do you really do it? No, you don't really do it. Then you need to really like reflect again to what you are doing, because people will be able to see whether you have a solid knowledge or not, like in whatever you do. And it is better to say, well, I'm strong here and I'm not strong there, rather than saying I know everything, but then you don't know anything. That's basically the things. And on the top of the knowledge in user experience or an HCI that you have, you need to equip yourself with the enterprising skill. And that's what I think as a miss here. A lot of things, enterprising skill about problem solving, vision setting, communication, conflict resolution skill, even financial literacy. All this knowledge actually, like a lot of the UX practitioners, they are missing out. Why is that? Because they think, okay, well, my job is only making a prototype on a Figma, or I'm making I do a user research, I do a usability testing, that's it. But wait a second, if we do want to have our company see the value of the UX work that we are doing, then we have to make sure that we make them know that, okay, well, you can't just do making a prototype. So what if you make a prototype? What would be like the return on investment by having a new design? What it would be like, would I be able to make every stakeholders, the government, the community, they would be appreciate what we are doing. We have to understand this. Like so, this knowledge is should not be forgetted. So it should not be forgotten, but it is something that we as UX or HCI professionals need to continuously look around and then see, okay, this doesn't say it is a UX, but you need that one to help you as an like an armor for you to become a soldier, like in the battlefield, and you are ready to do a lot of things. And another thing that is important by having a solid knowledge, right? Like you can actually not only be able to solve the product related problems, but you would also be able to manage your team, manage your peer. And that's what I said before. It's not necessarily that you have to become a UX manager, UX director or something, but UX, when you do UX, there are a lot of like a group work. There are a lot of iteration where it involves a lot of people, right? So ability to communicate, then ability to understand what is the roadblock, and then ability for you to remove the roadblock. Roadblocks not necessarily have to be related to the product. Again, back to that, what I said before, but it's like also for you to talk or to teach your team that this is a roadblock, then how we can remove the roadblock together. So that's how, like at the first point about having the solid knowledge about UX. So this is like a future belongs. Robert Greene said, future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in a creative ways. Maybe in a decade, we would not have any UX position anymore, right? But we will have a different name or something like that. But please make sure, like while you are here, you are a teacher, you are a professor here, you probably from the academic, please think like what kind of skills that are needed to help you to become a UX leader. In my company, for example, we teach everybody, regardless where they are like they are intern, they are associate, junior, senior, they are manager, they have to become a leader. We always teach them to become a leader each time, to make decisions, to do things independently. So that's something that you probably can think about, like if that's relevant. The second thing is the ownership. I learned I learned a lot, like through my journey, that it is important that we would not be, we of course, like me as a of course, as a consulting company, we always have a new project, always have a new project that we have to deal every single day, a different client. We are not like, say, for example, or what is it, Grab, people who are always dealing with the same product every day, same feature most of the time. But we are dealing with a lot of different things. And that makes us sometimes, a lot of people have an opinion, well, we can't have ownership. So we just do what we are asked to do, and then what we are paid to do, and that's it, goodbye, right? So that's not how my principle in the UX leadership. So my principle is that we have to own the project, which means this project may not be ours, but we need to own it. While we are given an opportunity to do it, we need to own it. We are owning means that we take full responsibility beyond animation. So we have to make sure that when we own, then oh, this is my project, I have to make it successful. In the back of my mind, I always think that, okay, so how can I make, through the UX, I can make this project unique, helping with all the insight that we have. We help the clients to find the value proposition, the unique selling proposition, to make them different, because that's what the UX is. Like, if you know our company logo, we have a unicorn. Unicorn, what is the difference between unicorn and a horse? It's the what's the name? The horn, right? The horn is like we take it as a UX. Everybody can do finance, everybody can do everything, but UX, understanding the users, solving the problem based on the understanding of the users, that would make a difference. That will make two apps different. That will make the solution different, right? And if we become if we have ownership of the project that we are doing, we will be able to become a steward. You know, like if you are in the airplane, then the steward does like helping you, taking care of you. That's what we are doing. And we're thinking like we own the project. We have this project, have an ownership. It's a long time. It is about like making relationship with your clients as well. So most of my clients, they are repeated clients. They've been with us for so long, and then we are helping them in a different ways. And then even when we don't have a project, we are talking about it. And then like when they come to project, they come back to us. So that's how we actually work and manage the ownership part of the UX leadership. And of course, like our clients, because they think that they feel, they know that we own, like somehow not owning because they are the real owner, but we have an ownership. They treat us like a family. So, you know, like a family, they talk with you. Even the NDS stop, they will talk to you. We talk, and then how we can actually help throughout this process. So it's become like a, you know, like a family, basically. So that's the second lesson I'm learning through the UX leadership. And then the third one is empathy, right? Like in UX, you talk about users all the time. And of course, we are talking about empathy. So when we talk about empathy, we talk about it's the ability, it's basically, it's our ability to understand and share the feeling of another. So empathy is not the same as sympathy, where we take pity of somebody because of their problem, of their misfortune, right? So as a UX leader, we need to be able to show our empathy for the target user we are developing the product for. And it's actually like a very interesting, like why I think it is interesting, because people think, oh, understanding users, right? But then when you are in the field, right? Like this is just a very good examples. I see a lot every single day. People very good in asking questions during the interview, but you can see like which one of them doing this with empathy or without empathy. When somebody doing an interview with empathy, they will ask follow-up question. They try to understand. They try to dig deeper. They try to not just like go through all the questions. They will ask you like why do you have to do that? They will ask you like what is like the whole story of that one, right? And it's actually like again it's a basic skill, but then with the empathy we are also talking about like what's the name, like in the organization we're talking about different people who we manage, different people who we work with. And it is sometimes hard because if you are not in a leadership position, well, doesn't really matter. Like I'll just do what I need to do. But then in a leadership position, okay, how should I show empathy? It is sometimes like it is hard. Especially I just give you an example like this. We are talking about a lot of issues related to diversity, equality, inclusivity, disability, and then women equality, races, religions, all these things are very difficult. And we work with a lot of people, like on day-to-day basis, like in the UX practice. And some people, they often come up with you with a very difficult situation, right? So talk about disability, for example, like if you look at the Washington group for disability statistics, for example, there are so many kinds of disability, from the one that you can see because they can move their arms, they can move their leg or something like that. That's easy to understand. Or blind or deaf, that's easy to understand. But you never know that sometimes like some people who look okay, but they have disability in communicating, in relating to people, in doing like to understand, to read the brief. Say for example, to read the brief because of the dyslexia that they have, or maybe they have a very low emotional quotient, right? Or maybe low intellectual quotient. So this is something that we really have to understand. And as a leader, right? Like how can you manage? This can become a roadblock, especially if you are in a UX project, right? Like oh, why do you miss the brief? Why do you do that? And why don't you understand? Like this is so much thing that can be, like I would say this is like you have to deal with the AGR people. Like if you say like an AGR, it's like an extra grace required people, which means that okay, well, I have to be patient. I have to be like showing compassion. Like you cannot just do like outcome based. That's what I was like I think what I was learning in like in the business school, in a lot of management like training and things like that. But then in reality it is not that way. As a leader you have to be able to balance. I would use the principle of push and pull, right? What does it mean by that? Push and pull. Okay, well, we have a clear requirement what needs to be done, but I need to like push it, but then somehow like pull it a little bit, like when situation does not like becomes a lemon for you, then you have to really like manage how to manage. That's something that I took it for granted for many years. I took it for granted. I thought, okay, well, everybody can do it. No, it is not, and it has caused a lot of problems along the way. when I'm managing my company, managing my staff, managing project, and sometimes you got a very difficult clients who you cannot like satisfy straight away. And how we do it, like I always like a map. I always map people. I always map my stakeholders. I always like see like who I should do, how I should uh how I like who I should prioritize, what action should I do, what approach should I use. I'm mapping every single day, everything, and that's actually a quite a useful exercise because it if you can do it with your staff, especially your staff is also your staff are also trained to do it. Maybe your staff doesn't know what are you doing here, like this like which is beyond my pay grade. Why do we have to do all of these things, right? But then by doing this, then you will have a better understanding, and then actually you impart it like your leadership vision to your staff. And actually it's a lot of people, oh, why do you have to teach everything, then they will become your competitor. No, it is not. Actually, by teaching them what I know, what I understand, it's actually helping us to become a strong team, and actually I bring more things on the table. So that's what I learned as I've been I'm still learning. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning how to do it. And that's number 3. And number 4 is okay, I like this quote by Theater Drums before I go to the 4th one. You cannot understand good design if you do not understand people, right? So when I talk about design here, it's not about designing product. It's about designing people. It's about designing system. It's about designing your company. It's about designing the procedures. It's about designing everything, right? So that's how I think it's very important for me, especially like to learn more about empathy. And I hope this is something that can resonate to your experience as well. So next one is the 4th one is about example, being an example, right? So I believe I know a lot of work that you are doing related to the work that is done by Hofstede. So with the Hofstede, one of the aspect is about power distance, right? And we know in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Philippines, everywhere, like Singapore, like the power distance is very big. What does it mean by power distance? Power distance means that, okay, some people, they are really afraid of telling the boss what happened, or the boss need to show an example, right? Everything what the boss said has to be followed. You cannot ask question. And then also things that there is an expectation that if you are the boss, then you have to take care of everybody. You have to make sure that everybody is under your wings, trying to, like protect them. But it's nothing wrong with that. But for me, everybody needs to understand what is a leadership is. We need to understand our context, right? And then we could not just manipulate what is happening there. Okay, well, I have to be the most right people. I have to be followed every time, right? So there are a lot of things that I have to change, the mindset. For example, okay, ask question. The culture of asking question. Notice what I'm talking about. We went to UPM, and then we did the workshop on a question formulation technique, right? So this is how we can actually creatively asking as many as possible questions, because you see Einstein, if you got a 60 minutes, you spend, if I'm not wrong, 95% of the time is for you to ask questions, and then the last 5% is for you to get the answer, because you find your answer while you ask the questions. So that's what I believe, and his culture has become the culture of the company that we have. And then being an example does not mean that I have to be the most right people all the time. It it is something that how we can actually to do what we are, you know, like what, say for example, I believe in asking questions is the good thing to solve the problem. So I have to show it by asking questions. I cannot say stop asking questions. Everybody diam, shut up, then I'll be the right one. You have to listen to me. No, that's, so you need to be an example in that way. So that's what I meant. And then the second thing, what I meant by being an example is that we all here, like including myself, we are academic, right? We are academic. And as academic, we try to connect everything with what research has been done and what theory be beyond that. I see a lot of things that in Malaysia, you're not just doing that, especially in the myHCI-UX community. You're just so practical in what you're doing. You teach the content, you teach the theory, but you also do it with the industry, like a really good synergy. But I see a lot of people like they just like focusing on theory and they don't really want to see what is outside. And it is very difficult. I would not say it is easy, but collaborating with academic, collaborating with the industry, vice versa, it is very difficult. You know, like who is going to have the copyright? Who is going to do this? Who is going to be the first author? And what kind of like outcome that we need to, you know, like can be readable for people in the company who only have like 15 minutes to read the papers. How should we make things easier for them to understand? That was so complicated. But we need to learn. We have no choice. Our world right now is already melting in a way that everything is like the transversing, like you know, like academic go to industry and vice versa. And we have to be ready. We need to see this fact, and then we need to be ready, like to collaborate, to, you know, not just like saying I'm interested to collaborate, but say for example, I'll just give you an example. Okay, I'll see it from your perspective. Okay, you would say, okay, you want to collaborate with company A. Okay, you need to be ready to say to the company what sort of contribution you want to give to that company. You cannot just say, I want to contribute, I want to support you, I want to send my you know, my students, and that's it. The company always like work the around like okay, I'm going to develop this product, I'm going to make it as you know, like as a product that everyone will be able to use, and it will be a commercial product. Okay, so you have to see from their perspective as well, right? Like if I become part of this collaboration project, what will be my my contribution? I cannot just like jump in and make a paper out of it, because there's a problem with the, you know, copyright things, right? There's a problem of a lot of things. Do you want to contribute your time to develop, and then it will become like a joint project, or you just want to jump in and then you use that product, you know, like as for your benefit? No, it has to be equal. Same like a company. Company cannot just, I want to get all your students, but the company needs to help the students, need to, you know, like needs to spend a lot of time and resources to teach the student, so the student will be able to be ready after they graduate. So this has to be like a, you know, like a two-way of collaboration. So basically, if we don't give example as an academic or as a practitioner, it is hard, especially in the context where we are in a power distance, and all of you here are considered as a leader in your field. You need to be able to do what you preach, basically like that, right? And I really like the quote by Ki Hajar Dewantara. You probably do not know what it means by that, because it is in my language, Japanese language. It's called Ing Ngarsa Sungchulaga, Ing Madhya Mangun Karsa, Chudhuri Hanayani. And what does it mean by that? as a leader, and why do I'll tell you why I have this picture later. Okay. So in front, as you need to become a leader who can give a good example for the people who are following you, right? And in the middle, in Madhya means like I know that a lot of word Madhya you use in Malaysia, right? Madhya, Professor Madhya, something like that. In Madhya, in the middle, Mangun Karso. Mangun Karso means that you have to be able to create an environment where it can create like a ideation, creative environment that everyone can, like contribute properly. And then the last one is Tutwuri Handayani. So Tutwuri Handayani is like when you are at the back, right? You need to be able to support, to provide good support. I'm, honestly, I'm really like can say so much highly about Dr. Norris, right? So Dr. Norris is a really good example, right? So she is she's very humble. And like when I first met her, like I did not know that she is a professor. She's a lecturer. I thought she was a student because she works with the students. Like she was so into it, and then give her, and then I like going through this, like the conversation. I don't think she is a student because she's so clever and she provide a lot of knowledge. And I found out, she is a lecturer. And then I found out she is not just a lecturer, she's a very senior lecturer. So she's her humility to be able to, to give example, to be able to support the students. And she always like try her best, sorry, Dr. Norris, I'm really like, I have to say this. I haven't got the chance to say this to you, but like she always do everything what she can do for her students. Oh, can you please help my student? She's like I felt that someone she's very selfless. Okay, well, my students want this. Do you want to do it yourself? No, my students. Let's my students do it. Wow, that's like amazing. This is like something that I'm learning from her, and this is like some of like my friend, but also my students, but also we have a really good relationship where we actually help each other, and then inspired by you, Dr. Norris. Yeah, so in UX Indonesia, we help each other to become example to others, and then we are trying to work hard to create something together and to support and provide guidance. We are so happy sometimes, okay, you are the student, can you give PD to all of us? No, we don't want to give a PD. We don't know, we are not qualified for doing that. Okay. Right. So and then no, it is okay because everyone can contribute something. And I can see how someone can evolve from having low self-esteem, like they become so, so confidence through this process of this leadership. In closing, I just want to let you know again, reiterate again, we are all in the same region. I'm in, in Indonesia. Somehow my heart is in Indonesia, but I live in Australia. But my work is in Southeast Asia. So as I said before, Southeast Asia is a really, really a good, a place, an emerging place for all of us to, to contribute something. And there will be a lot of work that we can do, a lot of work that will be influenced by the young generation. So I think as a leader, UX leadership, we need to start opening up our mind. We need to open up a possibility to work with other organization in the same country, in other country. We are also open to collaborate with you as well, to harness every potential that we can possibly do to make our region, Southeast Asia region, to be leading, and we are part of it. Our DNA, our steps are really into the work that we are trying to do in HEI and UX work that we are trying to do here. So, well, thank you very much. Yeah, this is me at the end. And yeah, I'm happy to talk with you now, online, offline, and have a more discussion on how we can actually collaborate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eunice, for that insightful sharing. And the words that you've spoken about me, those were so kind. I didn't notice that I was like that. But I guess being in HCI and UX research, a lot of us are, most of us are really, into our work. It's a fun and dynamic research team, I guess, for everyone too. So yeah, I think I'm blessed to be part of HCI and UX because of the dynamic teamwork. Okay, so we still have some time for question and answer. But while we wait, can I just ask Dr. Eunice, because I was very hooked on the keyword of rejection and perhaps misunderstanding when you initially started UX Indonesia and started in the UX field. Dr. Eunice, can you just elaborate a little bit more on how you manage these rejections and how do you counter or fix these misunderstandings about UX, the definition of UX? People keep asking, what are you doing? And even in the academics, when people or when researchers, students present their work, they're like, is it just mobile app that you're doing? They fail to see beyond that, and it's a very frustrating experience. So can you just share how you overcome this?
Yeah, okay. Well, there are different kind of rejection. The early days was on like what do I say, like it's probably not relevant right now, but like saying that, well, I'm HEI researcher. I'm like I have the, or maybe I'm a consultant. I'm giving you the HEI services. So people, what is that? Why do we need to pay you for that? So, and then sometimes like in the academic, even in the academic, when we are trying to, like my plan was, okay, well, I'm going to throw awareness of people who doesn't know about HCI, right? So that's a really, I think that's quite a honorable intention, because I did not charge for you to like, to give my knowledge about HCI, but they say like, why should I do that? Like, we don't really care about that, and why should I pay extra thing? So, because I have a awareness that this is a new thing, and every time when you have a new thing, there's a process what you call like adoption, right? During the adoption period, and you have to be ready to have a thick face that people will say no to you. By knowing that fact, like I did not give up. So what I did was like, okay, that's all right. If you don't want to receive this one, I'm giving you for free at the moment, right? And see how it goes. And but of course, like at that time, because I just started, like I have nothing to lose, right? And I get a lot of time to do it. But like right now, like I really have to think like a package, the solution, like the free solution, not so free solution, premium. Yeah, so basically, okay, I'll give you the free one, and then like you want more, I give you the premium, I give you this, and then like that's actually hook them slowly into the, into the service that we have. And then we give we ask people testimonials to give, and then actually, oh yeah, well, that big company has done so much, and they really like you can see the result from that one. So showing example, again, back what I said, it's very important, especially nowadays with a lot of very crowd, like people just say that I'm a UX, but basically they know nothing. So that's how I manage with that kind of rejection. I mean, it's like remember somebody said to me, the word in English like a keep, how do I say that? Like basically, don't use your emotion. Especially like initially, like the when you get into this field, I'm always like most of the time I'm always the one like the only female one. I'm not being sexist here, but now like they are with the more like girls into the UX, that's getting better. So I think, does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Eunice. I think that is the key, being, perseverance and, generally creating more awareness and getting more people to understand UX so that they can appreciate the amount of work and the impact that UX has on these kind of things. Okay, so there are a few more questions coming in. So the next one is from Samsul Arifin. Hi, Dr. Eunice. Can you please give one of the most difficult customer and how to manage them? Okay.
Well, I have a lot of difficult customers, so I'll just give you the one that is one of the example. Okay, thank you for the question, Samsul. One of the most difficult customer is when they say that, well, basically they said like, I want you to do a research on this one and then do the product market fit for the product that we have. So basically they have done the user research, but then whatever they did, because the company or the organization failed, they created a product that is that, well, I mean, I get the company did not say to me, but I know that they consider as a failure. And then they asked us to do a research. So this is, we are in coming not into the beginning, but in the middle, and then it becomes so difficult. Like if we are wrong, then it's all about your reputation as well. Like how do you do that? Like, and then and if we are doing right, then it's good. But if we are not, like they don't think, they do not know, they don't have the benchmark because they are completely in a bad shape, right? So we do something, and then they say like, suddenly after we do something, they got an idea, and they raise the expectation, and they almost like and we try to we manage to raise manage like okay, I'm going to keep up with you. Okay, I'm going to help you because you are my customer. I want you to, to be happy and with the solution that we have. And they raise again, they raise again, they raise again. And it's like okay, wait a second. Now it is like the time is already, almost at the end, but then you keep asking, and then they will say like, it's the time when we have to submit. They will say, oh no, you are not meeting our expectation. Did you have any expectation? That kind of situation. They did not have any expectation, but because we in the beginning we keep like trying to meet up with them, then they said like, well, that's our expectation. You have not done your job properly. But if you look back, like what we did actually, like it's all probably 500 times like more what they expected. So we learned that a lot from our mistakes. And then it's like we have to be clear in the beginning, what is the expectation? I mean, it's like some clients, they don't really understand like what the expectation, but we have to manage with what they need. Like what do you think is a success criteria for that one? That is very important. And that's how you should show leadership. Leadership means that you have to be able to say, no, it is enough, it is not enough, and this is like something that we want to do or not. So I think that's what I want to do. Yeah, I hope it answers your question, Samsul.
Thank you, Eunice. Moving along, there are two more questions. We'll go over this very quickly. One is, Dr. Sari, based on your experience, how diverse is customer or user requirements from different regions? What should we pay attention to? This is from Nurul Ibrahim.
Yeah, well, it is what we should pay attention to. I'll just start with that. It's a different thing depending on the brief of the project. How diverse? Yes, very diverse. So because my work in Southeast Asia, there's like a mixed understanding that if you do that, if you do something well in Malaysia, you will do well in Indonesia. Well, that's not how it works. But of course, like there are more similarity between Malaysia and Indonesia compared to Malaysia with, for example, Burma, for example. but we really have to do research all the time, and then based on the brief, then we try to list down what items needs to be paid attention for. For example, this is about e-commerce. Then we have to see like the behavior of shopping, the behavior of you know, like choosing goods or their interests or something like that. That's what we need to pay attention. That would be different if you do something related to healthcare or transportation and so on. Yeah, so there's no like a firm answer for the second question, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope it answered, Nurul.
I guess so too. All right. So final question is from Kai Mispa. Sometimes people think UI UX more to social science instead of computer science, especially when we are dealing with users' experience, feelings, or emotions. Can you suggest the best way for us to explain what is actually UI UX to them?
Well, yeah, well, I don't usually like, I don't entertain that kind of perception. You know what I mean? Because it will end up in what we call the basir, like it's a debate where it goes nowhere, like it's going here or there, right? But because the good thing is like people starting to know what UX is and what UI is. It is like I would just give you know, like a company comes to us like because they already know, okay, they need help with UI, they need help with UX, right? But if we have to start with a clean plate, like okay, well, this is like how I'm going to explain to you. So I'm just like explaining clearly what is the basic for that one. And I would say don't ever use UI/UX because that's not how it works. UI is part of UX, so it has to be like you want to say UX or you want to say UI. And it doesn't really matter for me like feeling emotion, because at the end of the day what I usually show is like you are good in computer science in the company, in the project, what your goal is to create a product, then product needs to be loved by the people who are using it. So you cannot, you know, like forget the people, like the people feeling and emotion, because otherwise who is going to buy your product, who is going to use it, right? And then like well, it's again dealing with emotion and feeling, because it's if for you to develop a, you know, like a product, then you need to talk about the business as well. So that's how you would usually see it. Like I would see the UX from you know, like a different discipline, and then depending on like you know, like the target user, of course, and then I'm trying to package it or share it in a way that is understand that is easier for them to understand. I hope it answered your question, Kai. There's no simple answer for this question.
I think I like what you mentioned in the talk as well, where you have to show them the impact. What is the ROI? Because you know, company they usually see these return of investments, and when it generates money for them, then you know it is you know, clearer, and they are more accepting to UX that way. Okay, Eunice, I think this wraps up this session quite well. I'm sure that all the participants would love to discuss more on this topic with you, but unfortunately, time envies us. Thank you all again for being here. I'd like to now pass it back to Zafri, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.